Okay, let's dive in. Today we're unpacking Revelation chapter 12. We've got some sources that make a pretty mold claim.
Oh, yeah. What's the angle?
They argue that the root cause of, well, basically all the bad stuff events, accidents, it traces back to greed. Specifically, greed sown by Satan.
Wow. Okay. So Revelation 12 as a lens for
Yeah.
everything going wrong. That's a big claim. But it does set up this epic spiritual conflict, right?
Exactly. And the main players are right there. The woman, the child she bears, and this great red dragon.
Let's nail those down. The child born to rule the nations with an iron rod. The sources are clear. That's Christ Jesus.
Right. But the woman, that's where it gets interesting. Who do the sources say she is? Not just Mary, I gather.
No, not exclusively Mary. And
Yeah.
not even just the nation of Israel, strictly speaking. They interpret her as the people of faith, the whole lineage.
Lineage of faith, starting with Abraham.
Precisely. It's about belief, the covenant community that ultimately produced the Messiah. And it's important, that this lineage includes Gentile women too, even in Jesus' physical ancestry.
That's a key distinction. So it's not about ethnicity, it's about faith allegiance. That reframes the whole conflict, doesn't it?
It does. It makes the battle fundamentally spiritual. And the opponent, the dragon. 7 heads, 10 horns.
Identified as.
Satan, the devil, the ancient serpent, the deceiver of the whole world, as Revelation puts it.
Okay, so the 7 heads, the 10 horns. What's the symbolism there, according to these sources?
Well, the heads represent immense wisdom or cunning, like strategic intelligence. The 10 horns symbolize great authority, power, worldly power.
So Satan isn't just this brute force monster. He's cunning, and he uses this power and authority.
Exactly. And here's the core mechanism the sources highlight. He uses that cunning, the 7 heads, to stimulate greed in those who hold worldly authority, the 10 horns.
Okay, so think historically, like Roman emperors, Nero, Domitian.
Perfect examples. Their desire for absolute power, for
Yep.
emperor worship,
Yeah,
that's a
right.
form of intense greed, right? Satan exploits that. He doesn't necessarily command them directly. He just fans the flames of their existing greed. That's the cunning.
And this wasn't a one-off thing. The sources trace this back, like way back. A sustained campaign against that lineage of faith.
Absolutely relentless. You see from the very beginning, Cain killing Abel, then Pharaoh trying to wipe out the Hebrew male babies in Exodus.
King Herod, too, killing the children in Bethlehem, trying to get Jesus.
Right. All attempts to snuff out the line before the Messiah could arrive. And when Jesus did arrive, the attacks got personal, very specific.
Like Judas Iscariot.
Precisely. What drove Judas, according to John's Gospel? Covetousness, greed for money. Satan stimulated that specific desire.
And the religious leaders who pushed for Jesus' crucifixion.
Same pattern. Their religious zeal was tangled up with, well, a kind of greed for power, for maintaining their status quo, self-interest. Satan worked through that.
But of course it didn't work. The ultimate plan failed.
Utterly. Despite all these efforts fueled by human greed, the child Jesus was resurrected, ascended, caught up to God and to his throne, as Revelation 12 verse 5 puts it. That verse kind of encapsulates his whole victory.
So the focus shifts then, after the ascension.
Yeah, the war didn't end, it just changed theaters. It became about attacking those who follow Christ, those who imitate him. And crucially, the sources say, dragging humanity into what they call the eternal hell of greed.
Okay, bringing it to today then. How does this ancient conflict, this idea of Satan-fueled greed, connect to our lives, to current events?
The sources are pretty direct. They argue this dynamic desire leading to sin growing into life-destroying greed is the root of all sinful living, even, modern tragedies.
You can mention a specific tragic case, a father killing his child.
Yes, citing the root as his overwhelming desire to live as he pleased, prioritizing self-satisfaction, which is a form of greed, above everything else. It's that principle from James 1:15. Desire, when it is conceived, gives birth to sin, and sin, when it is fully grown, brings forth death.
That's heavy. And there's a particular warning for people in, say, developed countries, isn't there, about
Right.
convenience?
The idea is that convenience itself can be a trap when satisfying desires becomes easy, effortless.
It lets that desire grow unchecked, like feeding a monster.
Exactly. Convenience can foster this monster called greed because it removes the struggle, the need for patience or sacrifice. It makes a life focused purely on self-benefit seem normal, even virtuous. But the sources warn that this comfort can mask a deep spiritual danger.
So the takeaway for you listening is what? Be aware.
More than just aware, it's about actively discerning. trying to see the patterns, the schemes, this underlying pull towards self-satisfaction and greed, not just in huge world events, but in everyday life, behind the scenes, so to speak.
Okay. And that leaves us with a final thought to chew on.
Yeah. If convenience and this constant pursuit of self-satisfaction really do feed that monster, that greed, well, how might our comfortable lives actually be nurturing the very thing these sources identify as the root of ruin? And maybe more importantly, what does escaping that trap actually look like in the small daily choices we all make? Something to think about.